Oh, this episode made my shipping heart sing. I quite enjoyed it. But with that said, hello everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another one of our weekly Beastars Season 2 discussion videos. Today we're here to talk all about Episode 6, Fly, Sinful Priest. But before we get to the video proper, quick reminder if you haven't done so yet, to hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, set notifications to all, and let all of AniTube know that you're here. And without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this. Okay, so this week was very much Legosi focused. We definitely got some stuff with Louis, but I'll save that pretty much for the end. For the most part, this week I want to zero in on Legosi, because I feel like my boy had definitely the most growth he's had all season, I'll say. Like, we've seen him really develop a lot in this episode, and pretty much throughout all of Beastars. Like, Legosi went from being very shy, sort of soft-spoken, and having difficulty controlling his more carnivore elements of his personality, and now we see him completely honing it, but at a cost. But at what cost? You know, so Legosi basically spends this episode kind of in his head a bit, right? Like, he's sort of in his own world again, as usual for Legosi. I mean, like, that boy spends more time in his head than I think he does in reality. But we see that he's still going through Goheen's trials, right? Like, Goheen still has this, like, test for him to try to see if he can overcome that carnivore edge that he has, right? Like, that need to eat herbivores, like, to see if he can combat that. And we see Legosi, like, when Goheen opens the door, standing there, sort of like touching this big slab of meat, just not hungry for it, like we saw last week where he was like salivating at it and like desperate to eat it. There was no struggle here. You know, Legosi just sort of has his hands on the meat and he's just like staring at it. And then when he hears Goheen open the door, there's like a zen quality to Legosi, right? And it's interesting too, because like, this is something that has been gradual. Like, we've seen him slowly coming to terms with how to behave around the herbivores, you know, and like what that means. And I think that big conflict with Pina really sort of cemented that, because they had treated Legosi sort of coldly, and Legosi purposely, you know, got angry with them. It's like the first time he's ever been really angry at a herbivore. And I thought that that was going to set up something totally different. Like, I thought that Pina being angry at Legosi was going to get Legosi to, like, hate them or something, and that there'd be this, like, rivalry. Like, maybe Pina was going to go after Haru or something. But instead, it's like, no, Legosi yelling at Pina only really made him, like, realize that it's not just that he wants to live with herbivores, it's that he wants to laugh with them, he wants to get angry at them, he wants to treat them the same way he treats the carnivores. And like, the fact that he forgot that they're not just herbivores, they're not just carnivores, like, they're all part of the same cloth, you know, like, they're all living creatures that all have thoughts and feelings and joys and sadness, right? And Legosi wants to just treat them the way that they deserve to be treated, which is equally. I really loved that. I loved seeing Legosi sort of coming to terms with this aspect of himself and carnivores in general, and seeing him sort of, like, again, his gradual, like, character growth from like this shy carnivore with a heart of gold who does have a mean streak, who does have this carnivore edge to him that he can't really control, to seeing him not only learn to control it, but also to, like, literally find this, like, zen-like peace, right? Like, this is zen Legosi. Okay, so we had Legosi the Gray, right? And then after the haircut, we have Legosi the White. And he is much more zen, you know, like Legosi the White. He's very, like, again, if you don't know what I'm referencing, it's Gandalf. Gandalf. Definitely, like, and actually kind of similar to Gandalf. Gandalf the Grey is much more sort of, like, rambunctious, and he's a bit more playful, and he's a bit more, like, fun-loving and goofy. And then when he becomes Gandalf the White, there's more zen to Gandalf, right? He still sort of has these, like, moments of goofiness. He still has these moments of comedy, but for the most part, Gandalf the White is a much more calming presence than Gandalf the Grey. And in the same way, because again, I'm sure some people are like, why is he talking about Gandalf? In the same way, Legosi the Grey versus Legosi the White, it's sort of the same idea. Legosi, the gray and white wolf, right, like the gray wolf, he was sort of like more trying to find his balance, right? He was struggling to reconcile the fact that he wanted to be with Haru, but he also had a part of him that wanted to eat Haru. Coming to terms with that, I think, is what makes Legosi an interesting character, and seeing him struggle to find this inner peace has been what we've been watching the character do for a season and 6 episodes, right? Like a season and a half. And now he has found inner peace, right? Like he's found a way to balance his emotions. However, it's not quite balance. You know what I mean? As we see later on in the episode, it does come at a cost. When he has the sort of tug of war with Bill, where they're playing like that job pole game, I expected that, like, I was with Legosi where it's like, oh, if he plays this game, he can figure out who the killer is. And again, I'm just gonna take it, like, I'll save it for a second. But when he does the tug of war, he loses, like, really quickly. And even Bill's like, huh? Like, that kind of surprises Bill. He's like, what? And don't get me wrong, Bill's happy about it, but he is like, what the hell just happened? And it's weird because we see that Legosi's jaw strength is normally really strong. So what could have changed, right? And he's like, I did all that training, so I don't get it. What's wrong? And I think what's wrong is that when Legosi learned that, like, you know, herbivores and carnivores, they're all the same, this inner peace has led to his more carnivore, angry element of his character. It's sort of lessened, right? It's almost like he dulled a sword, right? Like, after, like, it's not so much that he repeatedly used it, it's that he didn't, right? So, like, the idea that Legosi purposely sort of rejected this carnivore side of him, that side of him is now failing him, and it's not going to be as strong. So Legosi's going to have to find other ways of being badass. Maybe learn some hand-to-hand like Gohin, right? But I do like that they actually brought that into play, the idea that Legosi is struggling, like, or has found inner peace, but yet still struggling, because it's not like he's found proper balance yet. He hasn't been able to balance his love of herbivores with his ability to protect them using the power of a carnivore. So again, like, Legosi's whole character arc, this entire, like, the entire season 2 up till now, at, like, about the halfway point, has been really stellar. And what I was gonna say earlier before I forget is am I, like, jumping to conclusions? Am I wrong in saying that Grizz is so clearly the one who killed Tem? Like when they showed Grizz, I'm like, oh, so it's that guy, right? Like, ever since they started introducing Grizz, I don't know if I ever said it outright, but it's like, it's Grizz, right? Like, he's the biggest one. He's bigger than Legosi. He's the only one there who we've seen who's bigger than Legosi. And his frame fits not only the end of season 1 in that little post-credit scene where Legosi is looking up at somebody who we see is clearly dealing with something in the bathroom, right? Like, where it's like, oh, they have, like, a problem. And then even thinking back to episode 1, the way that they shot it, whoever was eating Tem, their frame looks similar to Grizz. So I have to assume it's Grizz. I could be way off base, again, anime only, as with everything. But it's Grizz, right?
Hey, as you can see, we are in the Wastelands, which, judging by Dragon Ball Z, can only mean one thing. We are about to scrap. Unless you hit that subscribe button. Thank you.
Another thing I really loved this week, still involving Legosi, is, of course, the big moment of the week that made my shipping heart sing, and that was absolutely Legosi and Haru being freaking adorable. I loved it. I love seeing these two just be cute and shit together. It just makes me the happiest. I don't know why I ship, like, Haru and Legosi so much, but Haru and Legosi just being together makes me the happiest. It's cute as hell. I love it. And I love that, like, it's Haru who goes to him, right? Like, Haru says, like, hey, jerk, right? And she, like, really lets him have it. And as much as I love Legosi, like, he's, like, the goodest boy of all time. But it's true. It's like, yeah, you really did ghost her hard, dude. And then, like, you ask why she's upset. Like, obviously she's upset because you ghosted her, right? And, like, I get why both characters are upset, right? For Haru, it's like, you asked me a question, I didn't like the way you asked it, and instead of having a conversation about it, you just left and started ghosting me. Whereas with Legosi, I also get why he's sort of like distant with Haru now, right? Because for him, it's like he's trying to protect her. He said to her at the end of season 1 that he's gonna get stronger, and she said that she'd wait for him. So for him, he's like, you said that you'd wait, and I'm going to try to get stronger because I want to live in a world where we don't have to worry about these kinds of things. But for Haru, she's like, I don't care about any of that. I just want to be with you. Like, I just want to hang out around you. Like, that's all. Like, I don't care about any of this other crap. And Haru is definitely more about the relationship right now than Legosi seems to be. At least that's what I thought. Until Legosi hits Haru with a, hey, let's get married. And he meant it. And I was like, huh? Like, even for me, I'm like, Captain Ship, right? Like, I like most ships, right? Like, I like all kinds of ships, right? Whether it's canon or non-canon, no matter what, I love shipping. It's my thing. I just want characters to get together ASAP Rocky. However, when he said, let's get married, like, Haru's reaction was my reaction, where I'm like, huh? Right? Like, just like, what? And, like, I don't remember who it was. I think it was, like, the Mongoose character or whatever, but he, like, drops the books he was carrying, because he's like, I definitely did not just hear that, right? But no, he totally did. Legosi straight up asks Haru to marry him. And Haru says, like, are we supposed to, like, go on dates and then try going out for a bit? Like, what happened to dating? Like, what happened to that part? Aren't we supposed to be dating for a bit before you hit me with marriage? And Legosi's just like, well, I mean, I didn't think it was, like, super necessary. I feel like, I don't know, maybe it is, but, you know, I like you for the following reasons. And he, like, lists off a bunch of reasons, and even, like, it gets meta where he, like, points to one reason about, like, I can also protect you from bad guys. And it's, like, all this stuff. And Haru is cheeky about it, right? She's like, I'm not going to marry somebody as selfish as you, right? Playing, you know, the whole tsundere thing. This is Haru's peak tsundere moment, but in fairness, like, my boy caught her way off guard. And when she sort of storms off, one of these herbivores walks up to her and says, like, hey, do you want to spend some time at the greenhouse, right? And we know what that means. But Haru's like, no, I don't think I will. You know, she's like, no, I have my eye on somebody these days, and he's a lot weirder, and he's a lot weirder, and I don't remember what the other thing she says, but weird stood out to me. Like, I think he's a lot weirder and bigger than you, or something like that. And he storms off, but Haru's like, he's a lot weirder. Like, to herself, she says this, but you could tell that she was just like, holy shit. Like, she thought about it for a second, right? She's like, I can't believe he just asked me that. I don't think it's that she really gave it, like, genuine thought, like, yeah, let's get married. I think it was more that she's just like, she's into him big time and was happy to hear him say that, but obviously was just like, no, we're not getting married, you big idiot. But, like, yeah, it was very sweet. I really loved it. The whole episode was really great. Everything with Louis, like, talking to his dad about, like, how the dad said, like, come back to me when you're actually brave enough to pull the trigger. Everything with that was really great, but I had to gush about Legosi this week. I thought Legosi just totally stole this week's episode. Like, Haru is great. I missed her dearly. I really miss Haru this season, but everything with Legosi was super strong, and I had to just spend the whole video just talking about that. I think Legosi is definitely one of these MCs, like, lately in anime that is, like, really surprising me with how much that they've developed. I think Legosi might be one of the more developed characters this entire anime season. I think his arc has been really fun to watch, and I'm very much excited to see where it continues to go from here, especially after the whole jaw thing. Like, I want to know if I'm right, like, if that carnivore element is sort of leaving him because of all the things that he's done in his training. It's going to be interesting to see. But with that said, everybody, that's going to wrap up today's video here, so I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to boop that up snoot, share if you care, leave a comment down below, and of course, make sure that you hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, set notifications to all, let all of AniTube know that you're here, and of course, before we go, as always, I want to give a big thank you to the good folks in the T Squadron. Look at these beautiful people. Look at all these beautiful names, and hey, if you would like to join these beautiful people, there are 2 ways to do so. The The first is by hitting that join button right beside the sub button. That gets you a badge next to your name, some emotes to spam in the comments, and of course your name scrolling past the screen here. Or you could check out that Patreon link in the description. Either way, it is super, super appreciated. So once again, a big thank you to the T Squadron, and I just want to say, because I feel like I'm noticing this now, if I came across as low energy in this video, it has nothing to do with Beastars. I've been kind of like low energy all day. I've basically been in my pajamas like all day. It was one of those days. I'm not necessarily sad or anything, just been kind of low energy, and I hope that I didn't bring that into the video. So if I did, my bad. And yeah, because I want to keep these like high energy. Well, not high energy or anything. These are supposed to be like the lo-fi hip-hop of YouTube. At least I try to be. So hopefully it wasn't too low energy. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. And anyway, bye!